And kind of blue. Shit. I don't even know how to like change the. Okay, maybe no. No filter? Maybe. Okay, maybe one of these filters made me look a little bit better. I don't know why it looks so goddamn blue. Huh. Okay, we got quite a few filters over here. Don't want to do black and white. What the hell? I don't want no bubbles. Just bear with me. I'm just trying to pick a filter that makes sense. I guess this looks like a little bright. So I guess that's fine. Alright, whatever. But what's up, man? Had to come on here and do another live for T-Bait. I don't know, man. Last chapter, the way it ended off pretty hype. Pretty hype with Arthur doing the what did you call it? Like stabbing into the ether, the pathways, and getting rid of 3 of the other wraith that was like getting away, which means there should be 3 more left because he ended up killing the one. So I think Sharon was going to get the other 3, but yeah, Sylvie ended up doing that technique that what is it called, the freezing time technique that she like kind of learning how to do. But I guess my one question that I have about the last chapter was just the fact that I know that Lilia has said that there was 3 mana signatures that was coming that were even stronger than the dragons. And then she said that there was one more, or there was something else that was like, you know, furious or whatever. So I'm guessing that was Arthur. But if it was 3 mana signatures that she sensed that were stronger than the dragons, one had to be Sharon, the second one had to be Winsome. But I just don't understand how Sylvie could be the third, because Sylvie isn't stronger than the regular dragons. There's no way. After her display with the fight that she had with Melsry, was it Melsry? Yeah, it wasn't Viessa she was fighting. I think she was fighting Melsry. Her display with Melsry, I mean, you can't tell me that she's stronger than the dragons unless her mana. I don't think her mana is. No, I just don't. So I'm curious to know who's this third person, because there's no way it's Sylvie. But then again, it could be. But I just don't see Sylvie being stronger than the regular dragons that was there fighting. There's just no way. There's just no way. If Arthur had one of those regular dragons with him, Melsry would have been dead. It would have been a wrap for her. We know Viessa had died, but like Melsry would have been, it would have been a wrap for Melsry. So I don't know. It's probably true, but it just don't really make a whole lot of sense to me. But we got chapter 455, equivalent exchange, which I had to throw on some Full Metal Alchemist on there, just because that's like the first thing I think about when I hear that word, equivalent exchange. So yeah, there's that. But hopefully this chapter is good. Hopefully it's as good as the last chapter with some hype for some Arthur, and I don't know. I guess maybe they might have a conversation with Aladari, or maybe it might be some conflict with Arthur and Sharon and the rest of the dragons because they didn't help. Maybe Sharon might want to try to keep Aladari for himself, and Arthur's going to be like, no, you know, he's going to be locked up, but I need to be able to visit him and talk to him. But maybe Arthur won't really care. I don't know. I'm really curious to see what happens now, because pretty much the rest of the race have escaped. They ran away, and 3 of them are gone, so it's like 3 left. I don't know if the 3 that's left, I think the 3 that's left includes Perhada. So there's 2 other ones not including Perhada. So, I think that's how you say her name, but I don't know, but we'll see. So chapter 455. So we're getting Arthur. Arthur is going to be the point of view for this chapter. Okay. So let's start. I watched the wraiths fall, detach. The spells that have been protecting the molting. Let me repeat this. My reading is already messing up. I watched the wraiths fall, detach. The spells that had been protecting them molting from their corpses as they plummeted toward the ground. A fine mist of blood hung in the air, marking where they had been. Today's a struggle for me. A fine mist of blood hung in the air, marking where they each had died, like incorporeal gravestones. As the red mist faded, I dug my fingers into my sternum, the discomforting itch in my core, a reminder of my failures, even as I should have felt the flush of victory. I don't understand what that means. What is this flush? Not the flush. What is this itch that he has in his core? Like, what exactly does that mean? I think I don't like this filter. I think I want to go to no filter. That's what I think I'm gonna do. Oh shit. No filter. That's what I'm gonna do. No filter. But what does that even mean though? What does that mean, that this whole itch that he has in his core? Because I just don't really understand. I just don't understand what that supposed to entail. I still don't understand why his core, it took so much of his ether just to heal his core from that one little scratch against this. Like, I just still don't understand. And the itch, like, is this itch gonna be like a long-term thing where he's gonna have this itch forever? It seemed like it might have impacted his powers a little bit, but it couldn't be that much because he learned a new technique, being able to, God step into or use a sword to like God step into the fucking the pathways, and then he also used the pathways to, what did he do? He was like, they was going through the dimension, the portal or something like that, and he went through the little oval portal, and he used not God step but the pathways to like keep it open longer or something. Like, he did something crazy. Like, I don't know, but I'm just wondering what it all means. That's all I'm saying. I'm wondering what it all means. But, so he had that itch. Behind me, Winsome led the two wounded dragons to the ground, while Sharon was still chasing the other three wraiths north. Shall we go after him? Sylvie projected, her voice uncertain in my mind. No. Land by Winsome, I thought, careful to keep my anger from spilling over onto her. To Regis, I added, What's the sovereign status? Pissy, Regis sent back, along with a mental picture of the bound. Yeah, a mental picture of the bound and the mana-suppressed Victor glaring up from the ground. Sylvie landed roughly, her claws sinking into the soft soil of the lowland valley. I leapt off her back, hitting the ground with. Listen, yeah, my reading gonna be struggling today. I don't know why, but it just is. I leapt off her back, hitting the ground with a wet squelching, and started marching toward Winsome and the other dragons. Arthur, Sylvie thought in warning. Sylvie's gonna be like, be careful, don't be too angry with them. Arthur, Sylvie thought in warning. Would you use the leader here? I asked, though my eyes searched Winsome for answers instead of the two battle-worn dragons. The large black dragon had transformed, resuming his humanoid form, which was tall and broad-chested with dark battle-mussed hair and a short growth of beard. He had faint green traces of discoloration around his eyes and down his neck. He straightened, bristling at the tone of my question, and took a sure step past Winsome to face me. I am. You must be the lesser of who. Oof! The back of my hand struck the side of his face. Woo! Bitch slapped his ass. Like, oh, you must be the lesser bitch. But no, he's at the back of his head, so it wasn't even that. He went and he pimp slapped his ass. He was like, bitch. Oh shit, yo, God, Lord. Oh, let's see what happens, man. This is crazy. He didn't even bitch slap him. He pimp slapped his ass. Okay. He straightened, okay, bristling at the tone of my question, and took a sure step past Winsome to face me. I am, and you must be the lesser of who. Oof! The back of my hand struck the side of his face with a crack like thunder. The Asura reeled backwards, stumbling. I still can't get over the fact that he pimp slapped his ass. Oh shit! pimp slapped him, man. That's crazy. So yeah, it hit him. The Asura reeling backwards, stumbling. The silence that followed was deafening. Winston regarded me impassively. He was just like, whatever. The only outward sign of his surprise, the slight raising of his brows. The female Asura's mouth hung open, her red-rimmed eyes staring in disbelief at her captain. The black-bearded Asura himself seemed dazed. One mud-stained hand pressed against the side of his face where I struck him, his eyes unfocused in my direction. The woman who white armor was stained with blood snapped out of her armor and took an aggressive step toward me. Man, they are not, I don't understand them, man. They not taking this lightly. I wonder how he's going to actually handle all this, though. Because if they're pissed off, then I wonder. What's up? Animation City. I don't think I've seen Animation City before. But, love this chapter. That's great, man. See, this is what I wanted, man. I wanted people to let me know if they liked the chapter before the actual chapter, or at least before I got into the chapter. So, say you love this chapter. All right, so I got some hope. I mean, it's already started off great. Arthur pimp slapping his ass. Like, I'm just like, oh, shit. Got that pimp slap going on. Anyway. So, what was that? So yeah, so the female Asura's mouth hung open, her rimmed eyes staring in disbelief at her captain. The black-bearded Asura himself seemed dazed. One mud-stained hand pressed against the side of his face where I struck him, his eyes unfocused in my direction. The woman, whose white armor was stained with blood, snapped out of her stupor and took an aggressive step toward me. A long spear manifested in her grip. "How dare you, lesser! My sister has just laid down her life in pursuit of your goals, and you show such disrespect to one of the Mortalii clan?" Okay. So the Indra. Okay, so this is one. I think somebody else said this before. So there are other clans of the dragon race. So the Indrath clan is not the only clan of the dragon race, which makes a lot more sense. But okay, so the Mortalii, or the Matali clan. So you show such disrespect to one of the Matali clan? Winsome rested a hand on her arm, holding her back. "Do not forget yourself." He regarded me in silence for a moment. "What is the meaning of this assault, Arthur?" "I'm all too aware of the circumstances and the decision that needed to be made here," I said. "I'm all too aware of the circumstances and decision that needed to be made here," I said, sharply enunciating each word. "I know what needed to be done, what the stakes were. But did the thought of saving any of those you were entrusted to protect not cross your mind? As dozens of lessers perished from the mere clash of your attacks, did their deaths mean anything more to you than a statistical sacrifice that you deemed profitable?" "Save them," the downed Asura repeated. Instead of standing, he flew up into the air, hovering so he could look down at me. The stakes were far too great to focus on anything but the battle. Capturing this Vitra, destroying these lessering wretches, changes the face of the world. The deaths of these lessers, for better or worse, changes nothing. And how many more of your lesser lives might be saved by what we've done here? Wait, who said this? "And how many more of your lesser lives might be saved by what we've done here?" Okay, so I think this is the dragon that he pimp slapped. I think this is them talking, or at least talking again. Let me see really quick. Keep top chat. Yeah, I don't know why it's being so dumb. Yeah. I agree. Like, I'm glad that they got other other dragon clans too, because I didn't know for sure, because I don't remember any other clan being brought up other than the Indrath clan. But yeah. So let me continue. So I think this is the dragon that he ended up pimp slapping. Capturing this Vitra, destroying these lesser wrenches, changes the face of the world. The depths of these lessers, for better or worse, changes nothing. And how many more of your lesser lives might be saved by what we've done here? The woman spat, turning away. I need to go find my sister's remains. One of the Matali clan will not be left to rot here. Winsome moved between us. These dragons just sacrificed one of their own to hold the race here long enough for us to arrive. It would do well for you to remember our greater purpose, Arthur. I'm not blind to your sacrifice, I said, addressing my answer to the Asuran woman, but your actions today were cold and counter to the mission that brought you here. After your callous disregard for human life here today, do you expect the families of the dead to mourn your own loss? I mean, that's true, man. That's true, because it's just like, they could have saved more of the human lives, but they don't value their lives. And they're just like, oh, we won't, what we did here today, we sacrificed one of our own. Okay, one of you died, but how many of the other humans who had died? What about their families? What about the people who's going to mourn their losses? But they don't think about that because they don't give a fuck about the human race. I get it. I completely get it. But let's see where this goes. I'm not blind to your sacrifice, I said, addressing my answer to the Asuran woman. But your actions today were cold and counter to the mission that brought you here. After your callous disregard for human life here today, do you expect the families of the dead will mourn your own loss? Her head dipped slightly as her eyes skated off me. Then she was flying away. The black-bearded Asura shook his head. You may pretend to be an Asura all you wish. See, this is all they think. They only think that the people who are powerful are the Asuras. And anybody who is powerful, oh, you're just a wannabe Asura. You're just you're pretending to be an Asura because only the Asuras are powerful. The cockiness, man, the arrogance is just, it's undefeated. It's undefeated. I don't think this battle will change how they think of the Wraiths. I don't think so. I think it's going to take more. I think it's going to take more of them dying from the Wraiths in order for them to actually look at them as more of a threat. That's what I think. I mean, they did do pretty good, and the only reason that it ended the way it did is because the Wraiths considered them to be so powerful that they took a stance of like, let's have this be a long, drawn-out battle in order to like wither them down, because they couldn't just fight them straight up one-on-one. Well, they can't fight any of them one-on-one. That's why they got the teams. But yeah, they wanted to be drawn out. Oh shit, where am I at? I forgot where I was at. Okay. You may pretend to be an Asura all you wish, Arthur Lewin, but it is clear that you have the short-sighted view of a lesser. Okay, so they acknowledge his power, but they're saying that his view is, or his brain, his mental capacity is of a human. A lesser. Thankfully so, I answered, feeling some of my anger cool, pushed aside by bitter melancholy. The truth was, these guards didn't bear the full responsibility for what had happened here. No, Agrona does. Only one person could claim that dubious, I think that's how I said that, honor, and I would take it up with him soon enough. First, though, I think Agrona, because if the race wasn't there, then this fight would have never happened. I guess he could be talking about Kezis too, but I think he might be talking about Agrona, right? Yeah, because the race are the one that sought them out to try to use them as like, fodder to like to shield themselves, something to hide behind. So I think he's talking about Agrona. First, though, there were other important details requiring my attention. The black-bearded Asura flew after his companion, and I turned my back on Winston and began marching away through the swampy morass. Or, I don't know how you say it. Is that morass? Let me see. No, they don't have that. All right, Sylvie had transformed and joined me. Winston said nothing, but he fell into step at Sylvie's flank. Man, he can't. He's like a fucking dog, man, yo. Gotta follow. Not far away on the edge of a small river that had been all but strangled by the rock fall from the collapsing mountain, Lilia Hestia had gathered a number of people, survivors of the group caught in the crossfire of this conflict. They were struggling to collect their wounded and get moving again, but all that ground to a halt as I approached. Lilia looked like she was at the very threshold of death's door. Her long brown hair was matted with mud and blood. Most of her visible skin was covered with lacerations and the start of dark bruises. And, to my horror, she was missing much of the skin on her right hand. I found myself suddenly transported back to my boyhood in Xyris, living in her family's manor, teaching her and Ellie magic side by side, ensuring that they both awakened and formed a core. Lilia had been like a sister to me then, and I owed her more than the feeble protection she had received from the dragons. And yet, I didn't go to her. As the eyes of all those present settled on me, I knew my role wasn't to offer comfort to her alone, but to address everyone as a lance of Decathlon. Let me read this. For those who do not know me, my name is Arthur Lewin. I started. I'm truly sorry for what you've experienced here today, but I also find myself glad to see so many survivors of this terrible battle. General, looking to my left, I saw a man horribly disfigured by the effects of some spell. He didn't look as if he'd survive another 10 minutes, but somehow he was standing. It is. You're the Lance. He looked around at the others, tired but revitalized. It's Lance Godspell. The spell that my arrival had cast over the other survivors broke, and a few surged toward me and Sylvie, some thanking me, others pleading for me to get them out of there, to save them or heal them. Worst of all, those who begged me to seek out their loved ones in the wreckage of the mountain passage. What up, though, Lebo? Syl, this is Syl, not Sylvie. Syl, I need you to stay with these people. Help them however you can. My bond stepped forward immediately, seeming to shine. That was a tongue twister for me. Seeming to shine with an inner light that drew all attention to her. And God, I wish I could make this shit bigger. Maybe I can. Let me see. Can I make? No, I can't do that right now. All right, Sylv, I need you to stay with these people. Help them however you can. My bomb stepped forward immediately, seeming to shine with an inner light that drew all attention to her and silenced the survivors. Peace, friends. Yeah, peace, friends, please. We want to get you all away from here to the emitters. Now, let's take stock of everyone's health. Winsome, stay and help me. Yeah, Winsome, stay and help me. Be efficient but thorough. My attention strayed back to Lilia. She gave me a small, almost imperceptible nod, and I tried to express with my eyes alone my sorrow for what she'd experienced. Then, stepping back a few paces as Sylvie and Winsome became the center of attention, I activated Guide Step, followed the etheric pathways back into the cave beneath the rubble. Regis was sitting on his haunches and staring down at the Sovereign. You should have hit that prick with a fistful of ether, he said, turning to look over his shoulder at me. I needed to send a message, not start a fight. I thought back. Out loud, I said, "You've arrived in Decathlon on a tide of blood, Aladari. Decathlon and Alacrian alike. I am not here to negotiate." Okay. I am not here to negotiate or barter with you. Vitra, and I'm not yet convinced that the best course of action wouldn't be to simply kill you. Convince me I'm wrong. Okay. So that's how he's handling it. He's just like, listen, I don't know. So he's saying that he doesn't really represent the let me reread this because I read it as like he doesn't really represent Decathians or the Alacrians. He said that you've arrived in Decathlon on a tide of blood. Decathian and Alacrian alike. Okay, that's what he's saying. He's saying the tide of blood. He's saying that the blood that, that was sacrificed for him to come there or whatever was, Decathian blood and Alacrian blood. That's what he's saying. I just need to reread it. So he said, convince me I'm wrong. Perhaps, if you were to release me, we could converse in a more comfortable manner. My third attempt pressed down on the bound of Cyril like a vice, stealing the breath from his lungs. We're off to a bad start. All right. All right. You are just as bloodthirsty and cold as your display at the Victoria had suggested. He breathed a little easier as I eased back on the pressure I was exuding. You're intelligent enough for a lesser. Shouldn't you have figured all this out by now? Didn't you yourself see the sovereign Exegus remains? Okay, right. The sovereign that died on the throne, that nobody knows how he died. You think Agrona killed Exegus? I said. See, I don't think he did. I don't understand the purpose of killing one of the sovereigns. If anything, he would have just locked them up like he did Kyros. He would have just locked them up. I don't understand why he would kill him and suck away all the men. Like, that don't make any sense. So that's why I said there has to be this fourth party. This fourth party has to be involved. The same person who might be involved with getting that third keystone. So let's see what Alidari says. So we're off to a bad start. I had no intention of you're intelligent enough for a lesser. Shouldn't you have figured this out by now? Don't you yourself see sovereign Exegus? Yeah, didn't you yourself see sovereign Exegus? Or I don't even know how you say your fucking name, but see his remains. I had no intention of falling victim to the same fate. You think Agrona killed Exegus? I said, pulling from what little detail Lyra Dryad had been able to provide. Why would he do that? Alidari's eyes narrowed. Perhaps less intelligent than I've been led to believe. He cleared his throat, shooting me a nervous look. For the same reason you slurped up all the mana from retainer Ulto's horn. Oh, like a power up. So he can use that, but maybe it's more than that. Maybe he's not using the mana for himself. Maybe he's using it for some artifact or like some device or something where he needed a ton of mana. That's crazy. I didn't think. Okay, let's see. Let's keep reading. For the same reason you slurped up all the mana from retainer Ulto's horn. I kneeled next to him, not bothering to hide my irritation. Speak plainly, Victor. You don't seem to understand. You are an enemy and a threat until you prove otherwise. Keeping you out of Agrona's hands is in itself a victory, and I will kill you to do that if you don't prove your intent. Scowling up at me, he took a moment to collect himself, then said, above all else, Agrona seeks the concentration of power. He thought to find it in the relic tombs, among the bones of the Jinn, but all they had left behind was old is that Bal? How the fuck do you say this word? Let me see this. Baubles? These fucking words, I hate English. I really do. And their damnable labyrinth of tedious puzzles. He wasn't left empty-handed, however, as he discovered the use of the runes. Okay, so that's how he found out how to use the runes. To give the Alacrians powers and shit. And also make the scythes and the wraiths and all the rest of the stuff. As he discovered the use of the runes, with which he could build his own nation of mages powered by Basilisk blood. I already know this, I said acidly, sensing that the Virtue was dancing around whatever point he was trying to make. Of course, he willed it? What the fuck? He willed it? Weedle? Oh my god. Alright, his conversational tactics changing by the second as he sought to placate me. Controlling so many lessers and mages in this way concentrated their power. Controlling so many lessers and mages in this way concentrated their power. So like there's some type of link, like maybe he linked their runes to like some vice or something. Made it his, see? Controlling so many lessers and mages in this way concentrated their power, made it his, see? So yeah, so maybe he has something that connects to everybody's runes. Maybe everybody he gives, I don't know. Let's keep reading. Beholden to him for everything. They can't even betray him if they wish. Okay, so so like they got to go to him for power. Yeah, we know that. I have long suspected that the slow wilting down of our number in Alacria has something to do with Agrona's lust for individual strength. Okay, so this makes a lot of sense because we know that there were, like in one clan of Asuras, there can be dozens, if not hundreds of individual Asuras, right? Just in one clan. And so we know that the Basilisk clan, when they ended up when Agrona ended up getting banished, Agrona was the leader of his clan, and he was part of the Great Eight. And when he got banished, he took the rest of the people that were in his clan. So there had to be dozens and upon dozens of other basilisks that went with him to Alacria. But now we know that there's only like the 4 sovereigns, and then there's like a couple other ones, right? So maybe what this explains is that he's saying that the other Asuras from the Basilisk clan that went with him, they've been slowly dwindling because Agrona has been killing them slowly over the hundreds of thousands of years. So that's what he's getting at. That's why it's so few of them. Because I was saying to myself, like, he should have dozens of Asuras with him. Like, I don't understand like why they haven't shown up yet. And it's because there's not as many of them left anymore. And so that's what he's saying. So that makes things make a lot more sense. So he found some way to get rid of them, to absorb their power, to do whatever it is, individual strength. So maybe he's using it for himself. Maybe he's using it for some artifact that he discovered that needs like a shit ton of mana, whatever it may be. All right, so where am I at? Okay, beholden to everything. They can't even betray him if they wish. I have long suspected that the slow whittling down of our number in Alacria has something to do with Agrona's lust for individual strength. But now I know for certain. He drained Exeges, took his mana for his own, to strengthen himself. He knows, you see. So that's how he got so strong. That's how he got so strong to where, like, he's trying to rival Kezis. Or possibly go even beyond that. But now I know for certain. He drained Exeges, took his mana for his own, to strengthen himself. He knows, you see. He trailed off, his eyes widening ever so slightly. I raised a brow and leaned a little closer. Knows what? The Vitra rolled on his back, attempting to look nonchalant, but only managing to make himself even more uncomfortable in his bindings. You know, I'm having a difficult time maintaining this conversation. If I were more comfortable, it would be... Why do you keep doing this shit? And then so now he says, my hands was around his throat before he even finished the sentence. I slammed him against one of the blood iron spikes that had reinforced this cave. Conjuring a sword, bro, he ain't playing around. He literally grabbed this motherfucker by the throat, conjures a sword, like, I will end your life right now. If I were more comfortable, it would be my hand was around his throat before he could even finish the sentence. I slammed him against one of the blood iron spikes that had reinforced this cave. Conjuring a sword in my left hand, I pressed the tip against his cheek until a drop of blood ran down his pale skin. Last chance, Vitra. Aldari's facade of dispassion melted away, revealing a terror beneath. When I released him, he collapsed to the floor face down. His limbs pulled into an unnatural... Because we know that the Asuras don't want to die. They care about their lives too much. Aladari's facade of dispassion melted away, revealing the terror beneath. When I released him, he collapsed to the floor, face down, his limbs pulled into an unnatural position by the chains. You would have made a decent ritual yourself, he mumbled into the slit-covered stone floor, or the silt-covered stone floor. His head turned slightly, and he rocked until he tumbled onto his side. When we left Ephiodus, there were hundreds of Asura. Hundreds! Hundreds! I said dozens. Hundreds! Do you know how much power that is? Oh my God. And so what? How many are left now? When we left Ephiodus, there were hundreds of Asura among the Vitra clan and our allies. Kezis had long played with the creatures of your continent as his little experiments, but he had, what is that? Is that seeded Alakria to Agrona's research even before we broke with the 8. I think that's seeded, right? Or
seed.
He had seed? Past tense. Okay. He ceded control of the company to his brother. Past tense. Give up. Okay, he gave up power or territory. Okay, so he has ceded Alakria to Agrona's research. Okay, I see what he's saying. So he was already researching Alakria before they even fell out of the Great 8. I got you. Okay. Some grew to regret their rushed flight from our home and attempted to return. Perhaps some were successful. Others were hunted down as traitors. Many more died fighting Kezis' forces when they attacked, and some few even were sacrificed within the Abator? You know, as the relic tombs, as Agrona tried everything to breach it with a full-blooded Asura. But even those deaths never really explained our dwindling numbers. But as the Vitra grew fewer, the population of the Alakria expanded exponentially. Oh, maybe he was using them to make the Alakrians more powerful, like using them to breed, like forcing them to breed, maybe? Oh, the early days of that experiment. Imagine molding an entire species in your image. He stopped, a wistful smile softening his harsh face. Agrona was an accepting leader, and we were free to experiment as we wished. Who had time to wonder why half our population had vanished in the space of a century or two, when there were such grand mysteries to unravel? The smile soured, and he shook his head bitterly. The curse of the basilisk mind. It is difficult to see what is right in front of you when your gaze is always 200 years in the future. Yeah, that makes sense. And you think he's been, what, killing and absorbing his own people since the beginning, I asked? Oh, no, not exactly, Aladari continued, shuffling like a worm in the dirt. No, he needed something special for that. He needed something special for that. Yeah, it's because maybe he does have the third relic. Or the third, what the fuck is it called? Yeah, the third relic. That's all I say. It's the cuboid stone. I'm fucking forgetting shit. Anyway, so maybe he couldn't do it at first, but then once he got the third relic from the keystone, once he got that third keystone, maybe that's when he figured out how to do it. No, not exactly. He needed something special for that. The legacy? I said without hesitation. Yes, her. Aladari said it like a curse. The legacy. A spirit that carries its potential from one... A spirit that carries its potential from one life to the next. So maybe the legacy is kind of like... Maybe it's kind of like one for all? Maybe after the person dies who is considered a legacy, it gets moved on to another person, maybe in a different life or in a different world or something? Because that, like he said, that is a spirit that carries its potential. So carries means, which means that it's taken from one place to another, right? By something. From one life to the next life. Lifetime after lifetime of growth bound into one being. So it is like all for one. Or not all for one, but one for all. So it's like compounding potential over, centuries, millennia. So that's what that is. So that means that there's been other legacies before. But does that mean that it would be a legacy in this world before Cecilia got reincarnated? Maybe there was a legacy here, or maybe it's only one legacy throughout multiple worlds. I don't know. Does it go? I'm just wondering, is there a legacy in every world, or is it just one legacy that just goes from world to world once that person dies, and it just compounds and compounds and compounds potential and power and shit? All right, let's see. Okay, so he said it like a curse. The legacy, a spirit that carries its potential from one life to the next, lifetime after lifetime of growth, bound into one being. Agrona theorized that such a being could harness mana freely, pushing the bounds of both lesser and Asaurian magic, but they are exceedingly rare. So maybe it is one per lifetime or something. Only one has ever been recorded. Okay, so it is. So it is a legacy in I guess in every world. Are they connected though? Could two legacies be alive at the same time? This got me thinking about so much shit. So maybe it's a legacy in every world. Maybe it's one or two, because he said that they are exceedingly rare. And so then this motherfucker says, they are exceedingly rare. Only one has ever been recorded in the lifetime of a Sauran civilization. That's crazy. And so to study one, Agrona needed to bring her here and ensure she would cooperate. So okay. All right. So that's what that table is. You know the table that she woke up on, and that she was like, whatever the fuck reason, she didn't want to, I think Tessia was telling her to, go look at the runes or whatever, retrace them and try to figure out what they mean or whatever. She was like resistant, like didn't want to do it. Maybe it was something that he implanted in her soul or some shit. But she like was fearful and didn't want to do it or some shit. Some bullshit ass reason. But so maybe that's what it is. He doesn't want her. He wants to study her and be able to get information to be able to get more powerful. So she's just a big experiment. That's all she is. Okay. And so to study one, Agrona needed to bring her here. So does that mean that Kestis knows what the legacy? That's probably why the Phoenix race know what the legacy is, because maybe one of the Phoenixes was one of the legacies long time ago. Maybe that's why they know so much. That makes sense to me. And so to study, so maybe there was a legacy that was part of the human groups that they just didn't know. No, there couldn't have been. Because if there was, they would have got fucking extremely powerful, right? Maybe there was a legacy in the Jinn group, but then again, if there was a legacy in part of Jinn, they would have been so fucking strong, they wouldn't have been able to get killed. There's no way. So maybe one of the legacies was part of the Jinn group, and that's what taught the Jinn how to do what they do. Maybe. Like the original Jinn was like a legacy, and they taught everybody how to do everything. But then again, if that's true, why wouldn't Kezis try to wipe him out or try to take him or something like that if there was a Jinn legacy that was that powerful that taught their people how to use ether? So I don't know. There's some flaws in that theory too. Man, this got my brain working. I'm just thinking of all these different things. There was a theory, I think, that Tigran Kalem was in some sort of weapon. I think it was a phoenix or a dragon. That's my theory. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it was maybe one of the phoenix races that used to be a legacy, and that's why they know so much about the legacy, right? Because we know that the phoenix race, they know about the legacy. They know all about it. So how would they know unless maybe one of their ancestors used to be one? Yeah, I don't think it was a dragon either, because if it was a dragon, I think that Kezis wouldn't be in charge. I think that Kezis wouldn't be king, because he would have either tried to kill the legacy to be king himself. But then again, we know that before that, the Asuras were all fighting each other like crazy. So maybe it could have been, I don't know though, because think about it for a second. If the Asuras are already as strong as they are, by themselves, the strongest beings in the world, imagine if one of them was the legacy. They would be the most powerful. They would be like a god. They would be so powerful that nobody would be able to do anything with them. So I'm just wondering what happened to the legacy that was an Asura. Like how would they die? Because think about it, they could live for thousands and thousands. Maybe they did. Maybe they lived for like 150,000 years and then they ended up dying of old age. You know, some shit like that. I don't know. I got so many questions. Yeah, because think about it, because they were all fighting each other. They were all in war. There was no Great Eight. They were all fighting and fighting each other over and over again. And I think that it was Aldir who had said, and Winston, they was talking about how Kezis became the king of the Great Eight or whatever, the leader of the Great Eight, because he conquered everybody or like subdued everyone and made them form an alliance because he was the strongest. So if he was the strongest back then when they were all fighting each other, because he was alive back then I guess this legacy had to have been way, way before Kezis ever even existed. So yeah, so maybe they died. Maybe they already died, you know, from old age or some shit, because it just don't really make sense. But I was thinking like maybe one of the Jinn could have been one of them. But then again, it's just like if the Jinn was one of the legacies, maybe that's how the Jinn learned everything they know about ether. That would make a lot of sense to me, right? For somebody who was human who ended up in the legacy and they ended up learning how to make have a coreless body and all that stuff, and they ended up being able to not only tap mana but also influence ether to a degree, or I don't know, man. It could be so many reasons as to why things are the way that they are. I lost my spot. So but let me see what y'all saying really quick before I continue though, because I'm really kind of curious what y'all think. So Tigran Kalem. Tigran Kalem is the place that Agrona resides, right? Isn't that where they all stay at? I mean, it could be. Maybe there's a reason why he stays there and he doesn't leave. So it could be some sort of weapon. I don't think Arthur is the legacy. I don't think so. I don't think he's a legacy. I think that, because think about it. If Arthur was the legacy, then that means that he would have been the legacy and Cecilia would have been a legacy. So there would have been two legacies in the human world at the same time, or on Earth, his previous life at the same. Because we know that they can cross, dimensions and shit like that, right? Because Cecilia was drawn from Earth into what I don't even know what the world you want to call this is. The Asuran world with Alacria and Dicathin or whatever. So Arthur was drawn there. If he was drawn into another human being in this world, then he should have been the legacy too. But he's not though. He's not because the way that he learned mana was completely different from the way that Cecilia came into the world immediately. Like, I can control all of the but then again, Arthur could too. Cause she can't. But yeah, cause Cecilia came in and she can control all of the different mana types, right? Or all the different elements. But Arthur also could control all of the different elements. But yeah, but it was a lot harder for him to do it than for Cecilia to do it. So I wonder why that is though. Because for Cecilia it came easy. For Arthur it came hard. I don't think he is. I don't think he's, because then it would be two legacies at the same time back on Earth, and that just don't make any sense. That don't make any sense. Because his key wasn't even as powerful, right? Because if he was a legacy, wouldn't his key, what is it called? His key, I don't know, his key energy chakra, whatever the fuck, wouldn't that be like overwhelmingly powerful the same way Cecilia's was? Like, that wouldn't make he wouldn't lose that just because he came to a new world. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I don't think Arthur is one. But let's keep. I gotta keep reading because I'm probably gonna learn some more shit, and then I might want to pause and get some more theories. So scholarly up. I already know this. Okay, I lost exactly where I was at. So you needed something special for that. The legacy, I said, without hesitation. Yes, her. I'm going to theorize that such a being could harness mana freely, pushing the bounds of both lesser and Asuran magic, but they are exceedingly rare. Only one has ever been recorded in the lifetime of the Asuran civilization. And so, to study one, Agrona needed to bring her here and ensure she would cooperate. I nodded, knowing the rest. So, from studying the legacy, he learned how to absorb mana directly from his own people. But that don't make sense, though. Because he just, okay, all right, this is not making sense. If he needed Cecilia to learn how to absorb mana by studying her, then that means that he just learned how to do this. He just recently learned how to do this. And if he just recently learned how to do this, how did the rest of the Basilisk clan members, how did the rest of them die a long time ago? Because he said that they've been slowly dying. Well, Cecilia just got here, so how did they die? How did he absorb their mana from, you know what I'm saying? So, okay. So from studying the legacy, he learned how to absorb mana directly from his own people. But that still doesn't tell me why. I already said it. He answered simply, the concentration of power. There are layers to this universe, folded over one another. Layers to this universe, okay? Kind of like the layers to the earth, right? Or the atmosphere. So there's layers to this universe, folded over one another like the place where the relic tombs rest. Folded over one another like the place where the relic tombs rest. And Ephiodus. Right. Cause like they're like in a dimension. And the relic tombs is similar to Ephiodus. I remember they were talking about that. So maybe they're like in between that layer is where Ephiodus resides, and the relic tombs resides in between that layer too. Okay. And Ephiodus, I probed. Aladariaham frowning. Not exactly. Ephiodus is something different. It is no longer here, but it is not entirely there either. So if it's not within the layer, but it's not on the planet or whatever you want to call it, in their world, that's weird. A projection of the physical world. 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 A projection of the physical world housed within another dimension. A projection of the physical world. But I can't be certain. It is interesting. But you have, without knowing it, spotted the connection. What do you mean? Aladari sighed and closed his eyes, looking resigned. I don't know everything. Agrona has proven quite adept at distracting and compartmentalizing, but I will tell you what I can. After you release me and help me escape this place, take me to Kezis. I will tell you both everything. No, don't tell Kezis. You don't want to tell Kezis, yo. Take me to Kezis. I will tell you both everything. And you can push him to allow me back into my home. I can be useful to the other Basilisk clans. I can't. No, I interrupted, taking a step back and turning around to stare into the smoothly flowing black water of the underground river. What if Arthur kills him to make sure that he doesn't share this information to the dragons? Or what if he puts him into the, I don't know, he can't put him into the relatives. I don't know. But that would be crazy if Arthur does some shit like that. Just straight up just kill him. Just you know what, I'm going to not let you tell. I don't know. That would be crazy though. So he said no, I interrupted, taking a step back and turning around to stare into the smoothly flowing black water of the underground river. What? He asked incredulously. But why? Sharon is on his way. Sylvie sent at the same time that I felt the dragon's mana signature approaching. Once again, his humanoid form, the dragon swept down the tunnel left by the escaping wraith and landed lightly in front of me. He seemed to shed his own cold white light into the dim cave. I would have preferred you wait to speak to the prisoner until I arrived, he said without preamble. I waited a moment, sensing Winsome coming after him. Winsome's feet touched the ground like a whisper, and he moved past Sharon to inspect the sovereign. He desperately wants to be taken to Kezis, I said. Winsome started to agree, but I interrupted him saying, which is exactly why we won't be doing that. Winsome scowled and looked at Sharon for support. The Scar Destroyer was frowning, but he didn't immediately counter me. Does this lesser speak for the great dragons of the Indref clan? Aladari snapped, spitting on the ground in his anger. Truly, you are a pathetic lot. Winsome's foot pressed down on the Vittra's neck, choking the words from his throat. Until we know more, Aladari doesn't get what he wants, I continued. That was only half the truth, of course, really. I didn't want to give Kezis any additional insight into Agrona's plans until I was certain that knowledge would be shared, or at least until I have managed to acquire it myself first. That's smart. Which is why I said that what if he killed him but yeah, if he killed him, that would be crazy though. Yeah, that would be crazy. Because they would be Anyway, so yeah, that makes sense. He doesn't want him to get that information right away. All right. So that was only half the truth. I didn't want to give Kezis any additional insight into Agrona's plans until I was certain that knowledge would be shared, or at least until I had managed to acquire it myself first. That isn't up to you, boy, Winsome fumed. Aladari Vittra is too valuable a prisoner to be left here where he might be sought again, resulting in more attacks and more casualties. Which is why I'm asking for Sharon to take personal authority over safeguarding Aladari. Make him too difficult a target to be worth the trouble. Or even better, parade his body around and claim he was killed along with 3 battle groups of wraiths, Agrona's elite forces, while they attempted an incursion into our continent. Sharon took a moment to roll over his response before he spoke. So that Agrona's spies will report the sovereign's death, and we dragons are able to present this as a victory to the people. Clever. And where will you be? Winsome is going to take me to Kez's, I said firmly. Now. Man, Arthur is so he does blame Kez's for all this that happened. So that actually makes me, so that means I was wrong. I was wrong thinking that he blamed the Corona for the people that died. He blames Kez's for the people that had died. So that makes more sense. Or that doesn't make more sense, but that makes sense now. Okay, so he said he's going to take me to Kez's. Now, Winsome glared, first at Sharon, then at me. I knew when I first met you that you would be an obstinate creature. I think that's how you say that. Let me make sure.
Obstinate.
Yeah, I was right. But a life in the spotlight of this lesser continent has given you the false belief that the entire world, the universe even, revolves around you. I mean, that's no different from Kez's. Like, he's not even as cocky and as arrogant as Kez's is. Kez's believes the whole entire universe revolves around him. So, I mean, if Arthur thinks so too, that's no different. Like, why does that even matter? But anyway. Oh, shit, I forgot where I was at. Fuck. Okay, there are. I'm back. I knew when I first met you, the whole world revolves around you. The universe even. The truth is that you are a very small piece on a very large board, and the game does not hinge entirely on your every move, Arthur. Unfazed, I leveled a steady gaze at the Asura. Fine, he said at length, standing up straight and brushing dust off his uniform. All right, this chapter is like 10 out of 10 right now. Like, I'm not gonna lie, this chapter is this is legit. Like, we learning a lot of shit. Okay, so and it's not even over yet. Fine, he said, standing up as straight and brushing dust off his uniform. I eagerly await hearing you explain these decisions to Lord Indrath. After sending some mental instructions to Sylvia and Regis, both of whom would be staying behind, I repeated my expectations for Sharon, including that no more Dicathians be in danger, then bent down in front of Aladari. I would suggest trying real hard to remember everything by the time I return, if you want to see Ephiodus again. Richard. Finally, I stood and regarded Winsome expectantly. Winsome looked back and forth between me and Sharon, irritation carved into every line of his face. He let out a huff. Are we going to get a conversation between Arthur and Kez's in this chapter? Man, I'm looking forward to it. Come then, Arthur. It would seem I have been reduced to a mere taxi service between realms. Between realms. What the fuck am I at? What the fuck? Yeah, waiting no more time, he withdrew a round, flat object and set it carefully on the floor. Drawing a drop of blood on the tip of his finger, he let the blood fall into the disc. The disc expanded, projecting a column of light, just as it had all those years ago when he first took me to Ephiodus for training. Be careful, I thought to Sylvie. Sharon's still acting the role of reasonable leader, but I don't know if we can trust his intentions yet. He's been used. I mean, that's all he's been is a taxi service. He was a taxi service back when Winsome took Arthur there the first time. He was a taxi service when Winsome showed up after Arthur got Black Ben all saved and everything, or was it? It was either Black Ben or it might have been Cyrus. Back when he rescued them from them, and then Winsome showed up and he took them. So he's just a taxi service. That's all he is. And a dog. He's a taxi service and a dog. Can't forget about that. So Sharon's still acting the role of reasonable leader, but I don't know if we can trust his intentions yet. You too, she thought back. Things are progressing rapidly now, and there's still so much we don't know. Taking a deep breath, I stepped into the portal. The air grew cool as I appeared atop the mountain, just as I had the first time. Indrath Castle loomed over me, magnificent, ominous, a structure carved from the land itself and gleaming with 1,000 sparkling gemstones. The many-colored incandescent bridge. I might be saying that wrong. Spanned the two peaks as before, and a light breeze blew through the swaying pink petals of the trees covering the mountaintop. When I've been brought here the first time, I had been filled with a sense of otherworldly awe. Now, though, the cold fire of my suppressed anger burned away anything except the desire to get this over with. Winsome didn't wait for me, but marched away across the bridge, not even looking back. I followed, but remained all too aware of the probing tendrils of magic that wreathed over and through me as I crossed the bridge of precious minerals. We reached the front door, which Winsome himself opened. Then I stepped through. The expansive hall beyond twitched uncomfortably, then seemed to collapse in on itself, taking me with it. I came out stumbling into a much smaller, round room. I spun around, trying to get my bearings, an etheric sword already clutched in my white-knuckled fist. Winston was no longer with me, but after a second, I recognized my surroundings. The well-worn path of insight dominated the center of the tower chamber. A powerful presence clamped down on the ether in my fist. What? What is this? A powerful presence clamped down on the ether in my fist and expelled it by sheer force. When the fuck could that happen? Yo, that's crazy. Hold on, let me take a drink. That's crazy. We haven't seen him do that, but has he ever, I don't think Arthur's ever used ether while he was there. So we don't know. The only thing we know that Arthur did was Kezis ended up stopping time, and Arthur uses ether to resist that time stoppage flow type of thing. That's crazy. A powerful presence clamped down on the ether in my fist and expelled it by sheer force. There won't be a need for that here. Bruh, that's crazy, yo. Listen, I don't know if this is Kezis that did that, or if this is just the room or the area that he's in, right? It might not be Kezis. It might just be the area, the Path of Insight Tower bullshit, whatever. It might be that sacred area to where I don't know. If Kezis did that, man, Arthur still got a long way to go, man. That's crazy. If Kezis did that shit, Arthur still got a long way to go. For him to have his ether forcibly expelled, that's insane. Or maybe, I don't know. That's crazy. I'm shocked by that. That's the most shocking thing in this entire well, that and the fact that there can be multiple legacies, that's shocking too. That's crazy. There won't be a need for that here. Kez's voice rang through the room. I stared around, not seeing him at first. Then, with a disorienting suddenness, he was standing on the opposite side of the circle worn in the floor. He was playing a game of power, I knew, trying to unbalance me and make me uncomfortable. I took a firm grip over myself, my breath coming out calm, my heartbeat slowing, regarding him casually. He was playing a game of power. So what, showing how powerful he is, I guess? So he regarded him casually, letting out a soft sigh. Do you already know what happened? Kezis cocked his head slightly, sending a wave of motion through his light-colored hair. Winsome has explained some of it. The rest, he said, you would tell me. Hardly welcoming of you. How long have I already been here? Wait, hardly welcoming of you. How long have I already been here? Oh shit, so Arthur might have been there for a while now. That time, man. Sheesh. How long have I already been here? Is the last thing I had read. What the hell is that? Surely you understand the importance of my expedient return to Dakath. He examined his fingernails. pointedly not looking at me. Perhaps you would be in less of a hurry had you brought my granddaughter and Aladari of Clan Vritra with you. I let only a small frown show through on my face. You promised protection for Daikathan, guaranteed that the conflict between the Asuras wouldn't spill out into the continent. But I have just come from a battleground that left over 200 Daikathians dead, and I have no idea how many Alacrian refugees before that. How can I trust you with Sylvie or Aladari if you aren't going to hold up to your end of our bargain? Yes, the Wraiths and their attack. An attack you warned Sharonda of days ahead. Yeah, an attack you warned Sharonda of days ahead of time. Oh, okay. Kez's mused, motionless, his bright amethyst eyes sharp and serious as the edge of a sword. That was one point Winsome wasn't able to clarify for me. How exactly did you know that the Wraiths were going to attack Ediston? Okay. Don't change the subject, I countered. Okay. I need your assurance that the dragon supposedly guarding Daikathan will have their priorities set straight. We have no use for soulless figureheads. Kez's nostrils flared, the only sign of his irritation. Soulless figureheads? What's next? Will you snipe at me about my actions against the Jinn again? I told you before, Arthur, I won't hesitate to sacrifice one lesser life for the greater good, or even 200, and neither will my soldiers. But then, you understand this well. Was it not you who said you wouldn't kill millions of Alacrians to save thousands of Daikathans? Was it not you who said you wouldn't kill millions of Alacrians to save thousands of Daikathans? You've done the moral arithmetic, just as I have. I'm not here to exchange barbed words, despite having plenty of choice ones stored up, I said after a few seconds of silence. Did somebody hit somebody? I heard a big ass. Hold on a second. Man, some of these drivers, man, they don't be know how to drive. Some of them be hitting people's trucks. Anyway, so he's not here to exchange barbed words. I said after a few seconds of silence. What matters is our agreement. Your soldiers aren't doing what you promised, and you yourself aren't telling me everything you know. I saw how Sharon and Winston reacted to news of Aladari's ramblings. They knew more than they wanted to let on. Kez's posture softened as he relaxed. You are right. Your insight into Ether will be of little use to me if Agrona wins the war in your world. You are right. Your insight into Ether will be of little use to me if Agrona wins the war in your world. If he wins the war, so what does he mean? Like if he fully dissects Cecilia and figures like everything out about the legacy? Is that what he mean by wins the war? Like what does winning the war mean? Because it can't be just wiping out or taking over Daikathan, right? I just want to know, what does winning the war actually means? Will be of little use to me if Agrona wins the war in your world. I cannot afford Agrona to learn everything I know. Oh, so he knows a lot more. Okay. See, I thought that he would be valuable because of what Aladari knows, but it might not be. It might be that Agrona already knows everything that Aladari knows, and perhaps even more. I cannot afford Agrona to learn everything I know, or even what I guess at, and so I have insulated you from certain information. I will continue to do so, but I can see now that there is a need for certain things to come to light. I crossed my arms and leaned back against the wall, relaxing slightly. Maybe you can start by telling me why you allowed things to come this far. You could have washed Alacria away in a tide of blood centuries ago. That's true. That's true. Because I always said to myself, if Agrona was such a threat, why didn't he wipe them out a long time ago? Like, he sent that team of dragons or whatever to take him out. But that Sylvia ended up sneaking with or whatever, and she ended up getting captured and all the other shit. But if he really wanted to wipe him out, he could have gone down there himself with a team of dragons and fucking ended this shit a long time ago. So why didn't he? So maybe we get the answer this time. So maybe you can start by telling me why you allowed things to come this far. You could have washed Alakria away in a tide of blood centuries ago. An army of Asura against one clan? Agrona left Ephiodus with his entire clan in tow, yes. And that was part of the problem. Okay. And not just the Vritra either, but some allies as well. I think they did say that. Some other people from other clans went with him. But but how many though? How many people actually went with them? Kessis began to walk around slowly, the worn circle that was the path of insight. This action was an existential threat to all lessers and Asura alike. A conflict of that scale on your world would have been devastating. So does he mean that the battle would have caused too many casualties for the Asuras? Because he doesn't care about the humans. So is he saying that the world would have been destroyed in the battle and that they would have lost too many Asuras' lives? But then again, that it can't be too much about the Asuras' lives that would have been lost, because if he considers Agrona to be that much of a threat, then he would be a threat for all of Ephiodus, which means that if it's going to take, I don't know, 500 Asuras to go down there and wipe Agrona off the face of the earth, or off of Alakria, then he would have sacrificed those 500 Asuras to make sure everybody else was saved. But I think that he cared more about, I guess, the planet, maybe. I don't know if it's a planet, or I don't know how the world works, but maybe the planet. I'll just say the planet. Maybe he just didn't want to destroy the planet or the world. Their world, the Lesser's worlds. So a conflict of that scale on your world would have been devastating. The Lessers, yes, but for the Asuras as well? I frowned and shook my head. What's the part you're not telling me? Agrona was practically daring us to go to war, Kessis answered, staring down at the path as he walked in his slow circle. His clan and their allies have been placed very strategically to ensure that any battle will almost certainly result in the destruction of your world. His clans and their allies have been placed very strategically. What does that mean? How can you strategically bring people with you that will ensure maybe people who just got a bunch of AoE attacks that would destroy everything? I was careful to control my tone and facial expression, suppressing a disbelieving scoff. Assuming that is true, you had already committed genocide against the world's dominant culture. Where's the line? What stopped you with Agrona, but not when the Jinn everything? What is the line? What stopped you with Agrona, but not when the Jinn everything? So maybe he's including the Jinn's annihilation as part of it? His mask of complete control slipping for an instant. Everything I've done has been to keep this world alive. And it would be wise for you to place that firmly at the forefront of any further assumptions you have made. Okay, let me reread this. Everything I've done has been to keep this world alive, and it would be wise for you to place that firmly at the forefront of any further assumptions you make about me. In the silence that followed, Kessis' unexpected outburst, I think this might go back to the meeting that he had with the Jinn. His unexpected outburst, remembered words echoed back to me from the last Keystone trial. He told the Jinn that their use of ether was a danger to the world. And Lady Aram said he'd given them some kind of warning, something that prompted them to search beyond the borders of our world. But what had that been? He gave them some kind of, I don't remember this, gave them some kind of warning. Something that prompted them to search beyond the borders of our world. So is he saying that if the jinn would have kept doing what they were doing, they would have destroyed the world? But that don't make sense. Maybe Kezis has a lot more information that we don't know. Despite the desire to press Kezis further, I kept my thoughts to myself. I needed to understand, but I had to be careful. Kezis stood taller, his back straightening. The tension seemed to release from his posture all at once, and began pacing again. Instead of fighting a cataclysmic war, regardless of our ability to win, I sent assassins, as many and as powerful as I could risk. Many Vritra died, but a grown-up proved impossible to reach. This, at least, aligned with what I've been told before. But the words of so this is Arthur Tar. So this at least aligned with what I've been told before. But the words of Arium, and of Sovereign Aladari were still bothering me. So what does a grown-up really want in the end? What has all this been for? Kezis ceased his pacing and faced me. Let me share with you a bit of our history, Arthur, so that you might better understand. Man, we are getting so much shit in this chapter. Holy hell. Okay, let's go. When Ephiodus was still a third continent. Wait, a third continent? In the ocean between, okay, so they consider a third continent between, okay, I got you. So a third continent, was still a third continent. So they used to be on Earth or on the planet? So they used to be on a planet, but they figured out how to put their continent in a different dimension? When Ephiodus was still a third continent in the ocean between, that's what they're saying. Ephiodus used to be on the used to be a regular continent along with Dicathin and Alacria. The Asura were much like the elves of Elenwar. Our ancestors were a people beholden to the natural world around them, in balance with it. But balance means strife, and through constant struggle, growth. Such was our growth that our magic suppressed. Such was our growth that our magic surpassed the limits of our physical forms. When this happened to the jinn, wait. So are they saying they evolved to be Asuras? And that the jinn, their way of evolving was different from the... What? Such was our growth that our magic surpassed the limits of our physical forms. Okay. When this happened to the jinn, they adopted the use of spell forms, empowering their bodies and enhancing their connection to mana and ether through runic tattoos. But for the Asura, it was quite different. We saw out new forms. Physical, bruh, that is crazy. But now it makes more. Wow. So they were like so they were like equals to an extent, but they were in tune with the natural world, right? They said that our ancestors were people beholden to the natural world around them, in balance with it. So they were much like Dicathin and Alacria. But balance means strife, and through constant struggle, growth. And so they grew to the point where their magic surpassed the limits of their physical forms. And so the Asuras decided to make new forms, but the jinn decided to use the spell forms. So they just took different routes. But what about Alacria? If the jinn were part of Dicathin, and then the Asuras were part of Ephiodus, then who was running Alacria? There should have been a third species of people or something like that, right? What was Alacria? Did anybody take up? Let me see. So we sought out new forms, physical manifestations of raw magical ability that we had honed over many ages. We became the dragon. They became the dragon and Hamadryad. How the hell do you say that? Hamadryad? I don't know how you say this word. Let me see.
Hamadryad.
Hamadryad. A nymph who lives in a tree and dies when the tree dies. Oh, okay. We became, so like snakes, like basilisk clans, I guess. We became the dragon and the Hamadryad and the Pantheon. Oh, okay. So those three races were like the original races of people. So it would be the Hamadryad, the dragons, and the Pantheon race. Is the Hamadryad? I don't think the Hamadryad is the basilisk. Who the fuck is the Hamadryad? I don't remember the Hamadryad at all. Okay. And the Pantheon. And over many more ages, those traits evolved to be an inherent aspect of our races, which drew apart from one another. So they were the original three, and then over time, they grew to get like more traits and they kind of separated. They might be. I think you're right. Is the Hamadryad the ones that they said that they were like closely like allied with the dragons, and the Phoenix clans were the ones that hated the dragons? So like their alliances was like really, really bad or some shit like that. I don't know, but I don't remember a whole lot about that. You might be right though. And over many more ages, those traits evolved to be an inherent aspect of our races, which drew apart from one another. Each branch of the Asuran family tree growing more unique with time. We became masters of the world, subjugating both magic and the natural beast. Creatures far more terrible than these now occupying your beast glades. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. Because the Mount Geolis or something like that. Mount Geolis was like the strongest fucking creature like ever. And then I think it was Kez's ancestor slayed Mount Geolis a long time ago, which is why they gotta make that climb or whatever without using any sort of magic or whatever, and like honoring him who slayed the fucking mountain. Like that's crazy, these creatures that used to exist. So okay, let's go. So they became masters of the world, subjugating both magic and natural beasts, creatures far more terrible than those now occupying your beast glades. And then, what if the guy who killed the mountain is the past legacy? That could be true, but then that would mean that he was a dragon because he was one of Kez's ancestors. But I don't think so. But maybe we might find out. No, I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna find out who was the one that used to be the former legacy. I don't know. Maybe Kez's might know. I mean, I'm pretty sure he does know. But let's see. I guess it's possible. It is possible. It's possible. But anyway, so we became masters of the world, subjugating both magic and the natural beast. Creatures far more terrible than those now occupying the beast glades. And then, as our resources ran dry, and our constant eagerness for growth expanded, so they're constantly trying to grow, we began to subjugate each other. That's when all the fighting that happened. So their eagerness for growth ended up having them fight each other, and that's why that's why they were just like endless war. And Kez is the one that ended that shit. Okay, so let's go. The Wraiths, not Agrona's Lesserine soldiers, but an ancient branch of the Asuran family tree. So the Wraiths were another branch of the family tree, just like the Pantheons and the dragons and the Basilisk. So the Wraiths used to be a clan, or at least a race. An ancient branch of the Asuran family tree were the worst offenders. So they were the one that was seeking out, subjugating more Asuras. They were a race of war, and they built themselves up on the bones of those they conquered. Eventually, Eventually, so I'm about to say, if they were that powerful, then what probably happened was all the other races or clans band together to wipe them out. That's probably what happened. They were a race of war, and they built themselves up on the bones of those they conquered. Eventually, every race, every clan was drawn into a war that scoured the world clean, sinking continents. Oh, so this is before Ephiodus, right? So here's what I'm trying to figure out. The Asuras was part of one continent. The Jinn was part of another continent, which is Decathan. And then Alakria, we don't know anything about who revolved around the continent of Alakria. But they said that the Jinn evolved by making the spell forms. The Asuras evolved by manifesting physical, stronger bodies. But then they wanted to continue to grow, and they ended up fighting each other. So I'm guessing when they started fighting each other, what I'm trying to find out is when they started fighting each other, was it before or after they went to a different dimension and and their continent wasn't part of the world anymore? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Because if they was fighting each other, wouldn't the Jinn have gotten involved? Like, oh, y'all motherfuckers are like destroying the world. We got to come in and stop this stuff, you know? So maybe, I don't know if they started doing this fighting stuff before they had went to the dimension, whatever, Ephiodus, or was it after they went there? Because it makes sense if it was after, because I just don't see the Jinn seeing them wipe each other out and fucking up the world and not getting involved, right? Let me see. Somebody just said something. Let me see. So you think before? You think it was before? So before they went to Ephiodus. So you're telling me that it was fighting each other and annihilating each other, and they didn't go and attack the Jinn, or didn't go and attack Alakria? Like that wouldn't make sense, because unless the Jinn got involved, they had to have. If they were still on the planet and not in another dimension, the Jinn had to have got involved in some type of way. I don't know. But let's keep reading. So every clan, every race was drawn into a war that scoured the world clean, sinking continents and burning seas. We forgot that we had once been in balance with the land. You're right. It was before they went to Ephiodus. It was before Ephiodus was the continent before. So it was before they went to the different dimension. So they were burning seas and sinking continents. So there's other continents besides Alakria, Decathan, and Ephiodus. So that means that they were just sinking other continents, I guess. Were those continents inhabited by people? You don't know. They were. Listen, they were around. The Jinn were around, because they just said that they evolved. The Jinn and the Asuras evolved. The Jinn was in balance with nature. The Asuras were in balance with nature. But the Jinn ended up making spell forms, but the Asuras ended up making more physical bodies. So they had to have been around. Because if they weren't around, how did the Jinn even exist in the first place if they weren't around? What, did some of the people who used to be Asuras go and move to another continent and repopulated that continent, and then they ended up making a different decision when their magic grew? They didn't make bodies, you know what I'm saying? Like, they had to have been around. See, I can understand that you think the Jinn evolved later on, but my thing is that where did they come from? Like people don't just get created out of thin air. Like, they gotta come from somewhere. So either the Jinn originated from the original Asuras, or the Asuras originated from the original. Like who were the first people? And if the Asuras were the first people, or if there were other people, then where the fuck were they? They had to have been somewhere. Like, I don't know. I just got a lot of thoughts. A lot of thoughts. But, and that's another thing that I have a problem with too, is just like, I don't understand how population works, right? Like, who were the first people on the planet? And because everybody had to have derived from somebody somewhere, right? So if the Asuras was there, how did the jinn get how did the jinn get created? Same thing with the Asuras or the jinn getting wiped out. If the jinn got wiped out, how did the people in Dicathan right now, how did they exist if their species got wiped out? Like, some of them had to, and remember, we know that some of the Dicathians, that they have emitters who can heal, right? Their healing ability stems from their jinn ancestry. But how were they ever to have jinn ancestry if all the jinn were gone? Some of them had to have lived and repopulated the planet. You know what I'm saying? So, like, how did all that work? And then we know that there has to be some jinn left over that's in the hearth right now with Murdane. So it's like, see, that's what I need to understand. So let's see. So we forgot that we had once been in balance with the land as conflict pushed our magic to greater and greater devastation. It was only when the very last of the race fell that the rest of the Asura saw what they become. Okay, so they wiped out the race species. Kez's paused, gauging my reaction. I carefully considered the layers of his story. Is this history or allegory? You gotta be suspect, bro. So allegory means a story, poem, or picture that can be interpreted to reveal a hidden meaning. Okay, so it's like a story to reveal something. Okay, all right. Kez gave me an assumed smile. Both, I suppose. This is what happened as told by our records. But I am not merely giving you a history lesson. Agrona has forged for himself a nation entirely beholden to him. He has eliminated any rival in Alacria, and with his armies, his rune-covered mages, wraiths, and even the legacy, he seeks to subjugate your world, and then he will come for mine. That, Arthur, is what Agrona wants. To take what your people and mine have built, to conquer our worlds, and claim them for himself. He wants to rule all, to control all at any cost. Okay, I can go with that. Because we don't buy his whole bullshit, just like, oh, I just want to take over Dicathan to create more wraiths to stop any other fight. Like, he just wants to take. Okay, I can buy that. I can buy that. This chapter is crazy, man. I nod in understanding, musing over his statement, while concealing my growing doubt. Aladari had been clear in one thing. Agrona was seeking individual strength, depriving himself of his most powerful allies in the process. Through my time as king, it was imperative to understand the importance of those you surround yourself with. And if what Aladari suggested was true, even the legacy was meant not just as a weapon for Agrona, but a tool for him to absorb the mana of his kin. A tool for him to absorb the mana of his kin. Agrona has shown himself again and again to be 3 steps ahead of me, turning every situation to his advantage. And I realized then that I had always been missing something essential to any victory in war: understanding. The very thing that Kezis himself was keeping me from. I carefully considered his lies as my expression eased into a grateful smile. Thank you for being honest with me, Kezis. That's it? Thank you for being honest with me, Kezis. That's it? Oh, wow. Okay. So what is it that I want to talk about? All right, let's see what you're saying, because seems like you, Animation City, you got the most to say about all this. Okay, so let's see. Well, yeah, we still got to get more of the story. We still got to get more of the story because we know that some of this stuff is just from his kind of, his perspective, what they know about it. So I guess I just need to know more, man. I just need to know more. I need to know more about the history. So if we know that the Jinn and the Asuras were all part of the same continent before, or all part of the same planet before they ended up moving to Ephiodus or whatever, right? So if we know that had happened, we don't know the time frames, but we know that they both evolved. And it has to do, they evolved because of their balance with the world, right? So they were in balance with the world, and through struggle and strife or whatever, they got growth, and they continued to just grow and advance. And so the Jinn, they grew, and their physical bodies, or their mana exceeded their physical bodies, right? For both of the groups that grew. The Jinn ended up making spell forms. The Asuras ended up, manifesting more physical forms. And so they grew in that way. The Jinn grew in their way, but the Jinn weren't fighting each other. But the Asura were fighting each other. But this is why I say that they had to have been around at the same time. Because, for one, it seemed like Kessis knew or had some sort of history with the Jinn. They knew about their existence. Maybe they had some sort of treaty. Maybe they had some sort of pact to non-aggression pact to never fight each other or whatever. But they had to have been equally powerful. The only thing that the Jinn lacked was they didn't want to use their power for fighting and things. They only use their power to make the world a better place, or to, make things better for the world, or whatever the fuck. Whereas the Asuras, they ended up using their power for just being physically strong, being, obliterating the world and shit. I mean, they had to have had some sort of conflict with the Jinn if they were around at the same time, because I just cannot see the Jinn knowing that they're fighting each other and melting, burning the seas and destroying other continents. I couldn't see them just sitting back and just watching all this happen without getting involved. But if they were there, wouldn't they have gotten caught up in the conflict? Wouldn't they have been fighting them too? But if they weren't there, though, if the Jinn weren't there at the same time with the Asuras, then where the fuck did the Jinn come from? Because they couldn't have come from regular human beings. Because if they came from regular human beings and the Asuras were fighting each other and obliterating the world, they would have got wiped out already from just the backlash, just from the collateral damage. They would have got wiped out. So, I don't know. Unless the world is a lot bigger than what I think, and them destroying their continent or whatever was a different territory. They were destroying their own territory, and the Jinn territory wasn't impacted. But I don't see that happening, because we know that things that happen on one side of the planet ends up affecting other sides of the planet too, right? If you're melting the seas and shit like that, that's going to affect the other sides. That's going to affect other continents and shit. If they end up wiping out the moon or some shit, that's going to affect everybody. So we're missing a lot of shit. We're missing a lot of stuff, because if the Jinn weren't there, then where did they come from? They couldn't have come from the Asuras, because it seemed like they were all separate. And then what about Alakria? Who was in Alakria when all this was going on? And then we know that one of their ancestors ended up creating Ephiodus, or the dimension that goes to Ephiodus. Maybe they ended up taking their whole continent and transporting their continent into a different dimension or some shit, the same way that the Jinn ended up making the Relatoons being a whole different dimension type of thing. We've seen what the Jinn can do, so we know that the Asura should be able to do something similar. I don't know, man. This chapter got me so many questions. The fact that either Kezis or the area that he's in can forcibly like remove Arthur's ether, his ether blade. That shit is crazy to me. The fact that there's more than one legacies that's been in existence, and that one of the Asuras used to be a legacy, that shit's crazy. Because that Asura who used to be a legacy had to have been the strongest Asura in existence, if there's only been one. So, but if the Asuras had a legacy in their past, the Jinn had to have had a legacy in their past. I would think. And if the Jinn had a legacy in their past, what about Alakria though? Who was on? I don't know, man. I don't know. But then they said that. They said that Agrona was sent to Alakria, and he did experimentations on the humans there. So that means that the humans were already inhabiting Alakria before Agrona even got there. But where did they come from? Did they come from some of the Jinn people who migrated to Alakria? Were they already there the entire time? Like, I don't know. But yeah, this shit is crazy. This shit is really crazy. I think they came after because Sylvia said someone from her clan found the Jinn, then they wiped them out. Oh yeah. So you're saying that you think that the Jinn came after? You're saying that the Jinn came after they all did all the fighting and... Okay. I get what you're saying. So you're saying that the Jinn... So after the Asuras did all their growing, and then they did all their fighting, and then they wiped each other out, they went to Ephiodus, and then the Jinn came after? But where did they come from though? So what? Maybe one of the continents didn't get wiped out in their fighting that had just regular humans there, and then they ended up going to Ephiodus, and then those regular humans evolved and, in tune with their magic and shit, made their spell forms. The Asuras was already in Ephiodus, and then one of the Asuras found one of the Jinn on the continents, met him, and then he was like, oh, they transformed in a different way that we did, and so now we want to get their secrets or we're going to wipe them out. I guess that would make sense, but that would mean that there were just regular humans there while all this was going on. And I just don't understand, like, how were they all not killed during all the fighting? Same thing with the Beast. If they had Beast that was there that was even more terrifying than the Beast Glades, how did the humans survive if all these dangerous ass animals was there the entire time, and the Asuras is in a different dimension? Like, that's what's not clicking for me. So I don't know, man. This brings up so many questions. Maybe the last keystone, or the lost keystone, maybe the lost keystone with the Alacrian legacy. I don't even understand what you're saying. But we do need more information. You're right, we need more information. But this is crazy. The fact that I've been on for almost 2 hours is kind of crazy. I didn't think I was going to be on for this long. But yeah, this is crazy, man. This chapter is insane. I mean, 10 out of 10 for sure. But like, God, man. So that's like, yeah, we need more information, because the timelines don't add up to me. If they said that, if they said flat out that the Asuras was the first people ever in existence, that would make sense to me. But then how did the other places get populated? Like, some of them Asuras, before they went to their like growth in like physical bodies or whatever, they had to have gone to other continents and like created civilization there, you would think, because they had to come from someone somewhere. So I don't know. But anyway, besides all that though, so Agrona wants to take over the world, wants to control the world. His first experiment was with Alakria. That succeeded. I mean, just think about how easily he did that. He went to Alakria, weak ass humans was there, and he just took over. Like it was nothing they could do. Like he could have annihilated every species every human that was there, but he didn't. He ended up using these experiments and stuff. But my question would be, why didn't he? If he did all this with Alakria so easily, why didn't he send some of his people to Dicathan back when, because they're weak too? Why didn't he send some of his Asuras to Dicathan and just do the same thing? Well, he wouldn't have done that, because that would have gave some of the other Basilisk clan members gave them more power, and he didn't want to have no rival. So I guess that's why he only stuck with Alakria, because he could control Alakria, and maybe going to Dicathan trying to do the same thing would have spread himself too thin, maybe. I don't know. But I don't know, man. This is crazy. But yeah, we definitely need a lot more information. This chapter was insane. It was insane. Multiple legacies. Kes being able to stop Arthur from using his ether sword. The fact that the Asuras used to be like regular human beings, the same way that the Jinn were, but they just evolved differently. And then that evolution created the different races or whatever. And the dragon race, Pantheon race, and the Hamadryad or whatever the fuck, the Hamadrygian whatever race, that they were like the original three. Like, that's crazy. Wait a second, they just have to explain the Phoenix, Wyvern, and the Wyvern. Yeah, I mean, the Wyverns are probably just like another, I don't know, another extension from the Asuras, I would think. It's the same reason why that one owl thing that's not really an owl can transform into a Wyvern. Like, it's probably all from the Asura race. It's probably just powers that they manifested over the years of just growing and shit. I don't know. Or maybe it's from one of the creatures in the Beastglades. Maybe that was like just one of the, like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, how the fuck do you grow and turn into a dragon? Like how the fuck does that happen? How do you, like, yeah, we need to, our magic exceeds our bodies. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna transform ourselves into dragons and Pantheon. Like, how the fuck do you even do that? Like, and if they can do that, couldn't the Jinn do the exact same thing? But I guess it takes like thousands and thousands of years, right? That's wild, man. I don't think the Phoenixes are Wyverns. I think they're just like another subset of the dragon species, you would think. But yeah, this chapter was crazy. This chapter was wild. But I'm about to get out of here in a minute. If there's anything else I wanted to ask or say. But yeah, so I'm really excited, like, where we're gonna go next chapter. I wonder if next chapter we're gonna continue this conversation, get more information. I hope we do. This shit's getting deep. This shit's getting really deep. I didn't think that he had all this shit like planned out like this. Like, this is crazy. This is really crazy. But yeah, so there's that. What else do I want to say? I ended up let me see what just no, I remember what he gave his sister and mother in the Phoenix one. Yeah, the pendants came from the pendants came from one of the dragon feathers. Remember, they used one of the Phoenix, the Wyvern feathers or the Phoenix feathers, whatever the fuck. They ended up getting one of the feathers, and they ended up using that feather because they said that one of their abilities was to, like, escape danger or some shit like that, or like something with protection, and so they used one of their feathers to create those pendants, and how exceedingly rare they were or whatever, and that I think they said that the what was it, the Gladers? Yeah. Kathleen Glader. The Gladers, they were the ones that had access to the most feathers or some shit like that. But yeah, so there's that. But then there's so many like monsters in the Beastglades that, remember, they said that they got a bunch of parts of the Beastglades that they haven't even explored yet. They're just so dangerous they haven't even got there. And then now we know that the beast that is in the Beastglades that's connects to the hearth, they're even stronger. Like, they need a full-blooded fucking warrior Asura just to take out one of the beasts. Like, that's just crazy. So yeah, I mean, I just don't understand how humans can even survive when you got all these dangers. I just don't get it. I really don't get it. Maybe there's some history that he can learn by going into the relic tombs that would tell him more information. Maybe there's a certain jinn that he needs to talk to, or some certain memory that he needs to get that will give him more information that might contradict what Kezis is actually saying. But like Arthur said, that's one of the things that he's missing from this war, is that he's missing information. So he needs to get more information. Whether it be from Kezis or whether it be from somebody in the jinn, from the relic tombs or something, he needs to get more information. If those things are a mix of the phoenix and the wyvern are a type of dragon, then when did a phoenix and a dragon get together? Bro, I don't know. I don't fucking know, yo. I don't even know how the jinn even came to exist in the first place. Like, I don't even know how the humans, answer this question. If the jinn all got wiped out by the dragons, how does humans have jinn ancestry still in Dykathan? Explain that part. How can you still have jinn ancestry to be able to? Because we know that Alice, Arthur's mother, she's an emitter. Her emitter powers come from jinn ancestry. How do you have the jinn ancestry if all the jinn got wiped out? If they got wiped out, they wouldn't have been able to reproduce. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I don't know. It hasn't been explained yet. We don't know. We don't know. So, I don't know. And then same thing with Chul. If Chul was born half phoenix, half jinn, then we know that the jinn doesn't live as long as the Asuras. Then where's the other children? Shouldn't he have brothers and sisters and shit? Did they only have one kid? What about his dad? Wouldn't his dad have, I don't know, reproduced with somebody else? I don't know. It don't make sense. They were smashing apes. That's funny. Mordain could tell Arthur the true history without riddles. Yeah. Because Mordain is like just as old as Kezis. So, because Mordain and Kezis were like best friends and shit, growing up together. So yeah, Mordain maybe he needs to go back to the heart thing, talk to Mordain. Because there's no way Mordain doesn't know all this. There's no way he doesn't know. So yeah, information. Like Arthur said, he needs more information. So maybe he needs to go to Mordain and get some more information. So that's probably a good idea. But I guess this is true though. I guess Agrona really did kill Exeges. But here's my thing. If Agrona killed Exeges and figured out a way to absorb all the mana and shit, and he's trying to collect it to make himself, stronger, more powerful and shit. But they just said that he figured this out from Cecilia, right? The legacy. If he just figured this out, how was he dwindling their races before that? Because Olodari said that they were too distracted in their experiments and everything else to notice that their race was dwindling over the centuries. Well, how was he able to take out their races and absorb their mana if he just found out how to do it when Cecilia showed up? So that's what doesn't really make sense to me. I said that if the Phoenix and the Dragons hate each other, how did they become friends? Yeah. So the way that I understand, so Mordain is part of the Phoenix class, or the Phoenix race. They which is the Asclepius clan. I think that's how you say that shit. The Asclepius clan. That's what Mordain is a part of, I believe. I believe that's right, because I remember that Asclepius shit. I remember that name. But so yeah, they used to be best friends. I think that they became enemies once Mordain threatened to reveal that Kezis wiped out the Jinn. And so instead of revealing it to everybody, he ended up getting banished. And that's why they called him the Lost Prince. But I think that the Phoenixes knew And that's why they hated them, because they got rid of and banished their prince. I think that might be why there's hostility. Or maybe, yeah, that has to be why there was hostility, because they were friends before. So that's what I would think. But we know that the dragons, the dragons and the pantheon and the Hamadryas or whatever the fuck, they were their original. So that means that there's probably more dragons than any other race, and more. There's probably more dragons and pantheons and other, homogenous, whatever the fuck it was. There's probably more of them than any other race, because they were the first ones, and they've had more time to populate and develop and all the other stuff. So that's probably part of the reason why they're the strongest. That's probably why Aldir is so strong. And who the fuck is the leader of the clans that is the leader of the Hamadryas, whatever the fuck their race is called? I keep on saying I'm saying that shit wrong, but whatever it's called. The new audiobook of T-Bait is out? Oh shit! I didn't know that. I know that I did just go on Patreon and look, and I saw that Turtle Me is doing some side story with Jasmine back when she was with the what is it called? Back when she was with the group. What's the group called? The group that his dad and Alice was in. I can't even think of the fucking name. Whatever. But I know he did a side story with that, which I'm not all that interested in, but that's cool. But yeah, the audiobook is out. That's cool though. That's cool. The Phoenixes and the Dragons hate each other before that. The leaders of the other clans are in that chapter. They have that. The leaders of the clans are in that chapter when they have that big meeting. Yeah. I know that. I know that. That's when we meet all the leaders. But I don't think we met the leader of the Hamadryas. We probably did. You know what? We probably did. Oh, they probably went over it. I just don't remember. Because we know we met the one guy, because he said that he likes to keep his age and not try to make himself look young the way that Kezis does all the time. So we met that one guy. And then we know the leader of the Pantheon race. And we know that Aldir is stronger than him, because he can go higher than he could. But he said that he won't do that because he'd be disrespectful, back when they was talking and stuff. And so there's that. This is what I'm saying. Aldir had to be so fucking incredibly powerful, man. Like, if he's part of their original races, and then he's stronger than the head of his clan, like, bruh, he's gotta be like, he's gotta be there. He's gotta be like up there, like a step below Kezis, like just like right there. It just don't make sense for him to just die in the relatombs. Like, that's some bullshit, man. Like, that's crazy. That's so crazy. That shit's so, like, that's like one of the wackest things that's in this story. I can't believe that shit either. Like, part of me in my mind is like, okay, this motherfucker like developed and learned how to absorb ether to keep himself alive, and he's just waiting in the fucking ether realm, and he's gonna just spring up at some dire moment. So, like, that's what I'm thinking. Like, the way that he supposedly went out is too insane to me. It's too insane. Oh, I don't want to fight anymore. Like, okay, cool. You don't want to fight anymore. That's cool. I can understand that. But what about you destroy millions of people? Like, how about you live and try to atone for all the shit that you did? Maybe help, like, keep them alive, help them develop, help rebuild something. You're just like, oh, yeah, I brought Sylvie back and I gave you some dirt. There you go. Have a nice life. Like, what the fuck? That's crazy. That's crazy. That shit crazy. Especially if it's somebody so powerful. Like, it's so much shit you can do. And then Silverlight, right? Silverlight just... crazy. It's fucking crazy. But, I know, right? He one-shotted. It was insane to me when I read that him one shot. Because I think I put in the chapter. It was like he one shot at everybody. I think that's what I put in the title of the chapter or in the thumbnail. The motherfucker one shot at every fucking dragon there. And I know they were like younger dragons that he trained or whatever, but still, these are fucking dragons that got like forbidden arts. Like the one dude made like some fucking galaxy like realm black hole shit. I'm just like, what the fuck? He ended up losing control of the spell. His own spell killed him and shit. Like, I'm just like, these motherfuckers are powerful. And he one shot at everybody. That's crazy. Wasn't it like 10 of them or some shit? Like 10v1. Insane. I can't even see. No, I could probably see Cousins doing that shit, but like, that shit crazy. That shit crazy. Oh, okay. You got your list. I got my list too. I got my list of my power rankings. I haven't even came out with it yet. I haven't even came out with the list yet. Cause I got everybody on a scale of 1 to 100. And so like every individual number means a lot. So if somebody's like a 49 and then somebody's a 50, like they're close, but they're not like that close. I don't know. And then I also took in consideration the fact that if y'all remember when what's his name? Shit, one of my favorite characters, Virion. When Virion was talking about how many silver core mages it would take just to defeat a white core mage, I think he said it was like 4 or 5 or 6 or some shit like that. Like if it takes that many silver core to defeat a white core, then you know, like it's how many retainers does it take to kill a scythe? Let me ask that question. How many retainers do you think it would take to beat a scythe? Because I say 3. I say it'll take 3. What do you guys think? How many retainers? How many retainers do you think it'll take to beat a scythe? Like, if it was a fight between, let's say, Ceres was fighting, I don't know. Let's say Ceres was fighting Ulto and Cyrith, and let's say the one poison chick that Arthur had fought that was like in the trees and shit. If it was a 3 of them versus Ceres, who wins that fight? Because I take them. I take the 3. I take the 3 retainers. Because I think that she would beat 2. I don't think that she'll beat. I don't think that she'll beat 3. Like 5 at least. Oh, so you think 5? Okay, so you think 5. See, I think 3. I think it'll take 3. So that's how I'm like gauging some of the power levels. I'm gauging some of the power levels in a sense of just like how many of something it would take to defeat another person, right? Like, because we know that the white core mages, before they got their, limiters, whatever, the shit with their cores or whatever fixed, we knew that a white core mage was like barely even with a retainer, just one retainer. So, I mean, so like I said, I'm gonna talk more about this when I release the video. I haven't edited all the shit. I don't know a whole lot about the graphics and trying to get all the numbers and shit up. I could have spoiled some shit right now if I wanted to, but I'm not. But like, I don't know, cause I'm trying to think like, cause think about it too, cause I'm also thinking about this, the fact that it takes a team of wraiths in order to defeat one dragon, right? And we know a team of wraiths is like 5. So that means basically it takes 5 scythe level characters to beat one dragon. And they're probably not a regular dragon. They're probably like a trained dragon. It takes 5 wraiths to defeat one dragon. So that just shows you like the power level. But it also you gotta give the race a little bit more of a power boost because of the fact that they're trained perfectly to complement each other, and they were trained to have abilities that would poison the other Asuras and the dragons and stuff. Like they were made to defeat an Asura with their poison, with their electricity that can like paralyze them, like all that stuff, right? Their fire, the spikes and shit that they can make. Like they were trained to defeat a dragon. So I put them even much higher than that, right? So I don't know. But then Aldir showed up, and Sarah's just like almost trembling, but she was like trying to rein it all in and shit. Like, I don't know how, like, who could defeat Aldir? I'll tell you this. Let me see what you think about this. Who wins in a fight? Cordry or Aldir? Cordry is the guy who trained Arthur in the ether, the ether orb thing. Who wins in that fight? Because I say Aldir. I think it's close. I think it's really fucking close. But I think Aldir wins. But that's how I'm like gauging like some of the scales. I'm gauging some of the scales like that. But yeah, I think it's really close, but I think Aldir wins. See, I can talk a lot more about this in that video though. But yeah, so that's kind of how. Okay, so you say Aldir. So yeah, so we agree Aldir. I'm telling you, man, Aldir is like top tip. Like, is Aldir stronger than Mordain? It's Aldir stronger than Mordain? Because I got Mordain up there too, though. You know, so it's just like, I don't know. But yeah, like those are like the top of the top, honestly. In no particular order, the top of the top is like, you got Kezis, you got Agrona, you got Cordry, and then you got Aldir, and then you got Mordain. Those top five, you got, I don't know who's strong, if anybody else is in that group, because I don't think so. I don't think anybody else is in that group. Okay. Where do I have? Let me see. I'll spoil it a little bit because I got it on the list. Let me see. No, this ain't that. Okay, so number one on my list is Kezis. Number two on my list is Agrona. Number three on my list is Mordain. Number four on my list is Aldir, and number five on my list is Cordry. That's how my list is made up. But Mordain, Aldir, and Cordry are like super close to each other, super duper close. And I think Agrona and Kezis kind of separate a little bit. That's kind of how I got my list. But you know, I got Tacy on the list, man. Like, okay, let me ask you, like, so Tacy, you know how strong Tacy was when he was fighting Arthur. We know that Arthur won that fight only because he was in that ether realm. Let me ask y'all this question. So the power levels and shit. So could Tacy beat Kiros? Kiros, the one that Cecilia had defeated. Could Tacy defeat Kiros? My answer is, let me wait to hear what your answer is. I'll wait to hear what your answer is. Could Tacy defeat Kiros? Because on my list, I got Tacy above Kiros. I think Tacy was that strong. I think that he was going to be like, if he would have still developed, he would have been like one of the top of the top. I think Tacy would have fucked Kiros up. I think it would have been, he would have fucked him up. Like, he was trained, man. He was trained, and I think Kiros wasn't trained. He spent too much time bullshitting around with the experiments, and I think Tacy would have fucked him over. That's what I think. But yeah. But I got groups though, so I made like groups of like power levels and shit. So I made like groups of like, you know what? I want to make the video talking about all this, but it just takes so much time to try to make these graphics, and I don't have all the software and shit, and I don't have internet when I'm on the road like that, so it's more difficult trying to do that. And I want to have something up to where I can like show like, okay, Tacy is this number, and then Kiros is this number, and I got Ren is this number, and Cadell is this number, and then I got like the regular dragons, but then I got like, cause you got like a basic Asura, but then you got like a trained Asura who's like meant to fight, and then you got all the rest of the shit, and then you got the wraiths, you got the individual wraiths, then you got the team of wraiths, you got the scythes, you got all the rest of the characters that we know. Orloth, and you got Vachakor. Like I think Sharon is stronger than Vachakor or whatever. I think that Sharon is stronger than him. But yeah, so it's interesting. It's interesting how I kind of did everything. I had tweaked the list quite a bit. Yeah, Tasty would have been up there. He would have. Yeah, so y'all agree. So he would have been up there because he's supposed to be the first heir to all. Yeah, because he's supposed to have the world eater technique and all the other shit. Because that's why he got the world eater technique, because how strong he was. So yeah, so all that makes sense. But then think about that. The world eater technique. So what? Does that mean that the world eater technique is gone? Is a wrap? But then think about this though. Think about this. If they were all fighting each other, and the Pantheon race is the ones that had the world eater technique, and we know that the dragons had their affinity with ether. What the fuck does the other original clan have, or the other original race have, that makes them so distinctive from the rest of the races, right? Because you got the Pantheon race with the world eater technique and them just being physically strong. The race, like, think about the fact that the race was just fucking cold-blooded, like killers of, subjugating everybody. But what about that other clan, whatever the fuck it's called, the whatever the hell it is? What ability they had that separated them from the rest of the clans? But just go and think about back then. Imagine them spamming the world eater technique. Like, you would have been fucking up so much shit with the world eater technique. Like, I don't get it. Like, they gotta make it make sense. But yeah, so anyway, so I got groups. Of like the power levels and shit. So I got you got people who are anybody below white core. They're pretty much fodder at this point. If you're not a white core mage, you pretty much don't really matter that much if you're not at least white core. But I still have like Kathleen and Curtis and Viri and Ellie. I still got them on the list. But so you got that. So you got below white core, and then you got white core / retainer level. So that's like that one group of level. Then you got scythe level. We know where the scythes are. And that's kind of like somewhere near the wraiths too, because the wraiths are they're like a little bit above the scythes too. And then after that, what do I have next? And then you got Asura level. Asura level is like you're near like a basic Asura, like Kyros and Aladari. A regular dragon without a whole bunch of training, or like a young dragon or something like that. So you got like base Asura level. And then I think after base Asura, you kind of just got I don't fucking know, like God level. I don't know. You got just, after you above base Asura, you're kind of just in that you're in another territory level. And then above that, you got the you got the Aldir, you got the Kezis, you got the Agrona, you got the Cordry, all that type of level stuff. So, anyway, they got a lot of stuff though. Dragon Race, creation type, mana, arts, 3 types of ether, but each person only. But yeah, but if you think about it though, because speaking about the dragons and the ether, everybody has an affinity towards some sort of ether art. Or not ether art, but some sort of branch of ether. So even the Pantheons and the Phoenixes, they all have some sort of branch of ether that they have affinity towards. The dragons are the only ones who can do it, but maybe some of the Phoenixes do. I mean, we don't know. We really don't even know much about the other races and what all they can do. Like, it's pretty crazy, as far as being affinity towards, time, space, and then life, I guess, in a sense, right? Yeah, life, because of Vivim. That's what it's called, Vivim. Avum, Spatium, and Vivim. Pantheon is natural force type mana arts. Yeah, but these are all mana arts though. I'm talking about something like something that's not have anything to do with mana, I'm thinking, because the dragons got ether. The Pantheons got the world eater technique. But that has to do with mana too though. I don't know. The Basilisk race, they had those type of mana. Yeah, decay type mana. The Phoenix race based on the Basilisk power. I made the rest of them have their one specific powers. that could have manifested into 4 types of elements. So the Phoenix have fire type mana. Yeah, we know the Phoenix got fire type because we know about Chul. The Titan race, yeah, we know the Titan race because the Titan race is part of Ren, right? The Earth, pure Earth, metal, magma, windy soul, maybe because the living golems are a byproduct of this. Okay. The Leviathan race, water type, pure water, ocean, ice, mist, steam. Okay. You got the list. I see you. The Hamadryad or whatever. Natural type mana arts. So you think that they're like plants? Okay. Do we have confirmation of this though? Because I don't know if we know anything about their race though. The Sylph race, wind type. Okay, so that makes sense. The wind, that makes sense. True flames. I don't know if they got true flames. We still need to learn more about them because the most that we know is about probably the Phoenix and the Dragon race. We really don't know a whole lot about the other races. But just because you know what I'm just thinking about too, just because you can't fight doesn't mean that you're not powerful, because they probably got a lot of people who got a lot of powerful abilities and techniques, but they're just not used in a killing type of way. Maybe they have like impressive crazy defense or crazy shields that can make just like impenetrable walls, like with the Titan race. Maybe they got somebody that's just like have the best defense that can't nobody fuck with them type of thing. I don't know. We still kind of like just speculating, so I don't know for sure. But and then the water, maybe they got like some crazy healing techniques where they can heal like 1,000 people at the same time or something. I don't know. But I made my list just basically based off of just fighting. Like if they went one-on-one, who would win? I have a hard time. I'll tell you this though. I did have a hard time trying to gauge how strong Winsome is. Like, how strong is Winsome in compared to the rest of the dragons, right? Like, how strong is Winsome compared to Sharon? What about Vajikor? What about a Wraith Squad? What about Arthur and Cecilia? Like, how strong is he compared to them? So, I don't know. But I'm about to get out of here though. But this is fun though. This is fun. This is a great chapter. I appreciate the conversations and shit. Got a lot of theories and stuff out there. But I am probably going to work on this list and get this list out and kind of go over some more details on why I got people where they are. And that should be fun. And I'll check you guys out in the next video, man. This was dope. But y'all have a good night. Peace.